Hey there, Rappies. Rapper9198 here, and welcome to another edition of Ryan's Day Reading. Today I'll be reading Chapter 11 of I'll Push You, Taking the Bull by the Horns. So far, they've gotten to the 140 kilometer mark out of, 771 kilometers is 500 miles. I know I'm not good with the with the metrics there, but they're still slowly making it. So right now they're at Los Arcos. All right, so here is chapter 11, Taking the Bull by the Horns. And so we go to Justin now. Today's stop, Los Arcos, is a small town between Estella and Logroño, about 40 miles west of Pamplona. It has taken us 6 days to make it this far, but this section of the Camino is relatively uneventful and goes by quickly. With an intense sun beating down on our heads and shoulders, we enter the town square, Plaza de Santa Maria, and are greeted with applause from many of the pilgrims we have met along the way as they sit at tables in the center of the square, enjoying cold beer and food from the nearby cafes. With the sun still high overhead, Patrick orders food for the three of us, and we sit outside the Church of Santa Maria, enjoying a light afternoon breeze. While we eat, we learn from our fellow pilgrims that the town's 1,100 or so residents are about to spend the evening running with bulls. In just a few short hours, this courtyard will be fenced off and large bulls will be turned loose to lumber through the streets and throughout the square, while smaller, more aggressive bulls chase down whoever stands in their path. This we have to see. We were in Pamplona much too early to witness the festival of San Fermin, known for its running of the bulls. But now, as luck would have it, we're about to have front row seats for a different version of running with bulls. Uncertain about how the festivities will be organized, we decide to wait right where we are in the square. Can you take our packs and check us in at the albergues? Patrick asks Ted. We'll stay here and save us a spot to watch this. Sure, Ted responds. I can't believe we're going to get to watch a bunch of idiots get chased by bulls. As afternoon approaches evening, the number of people in the plaza seems to double every 15 minutes or so. Soon, a group of men begin moving 7-foot-tall sections of thick fencing into place at the end of the square, blocking the archway that leads to where Ted has gone to look for lodging. Side streets are soon barricaded, and a Spanish gentleman approaches us to let us know we're not safe where we're seated. Seeking his advice about a better location, we are directed to a section along the north side of the square opposite the church, where a number of people have already gathered. Patrick steps in behind my chair, releases the brakes, and we relocate to the designated safe area. The crowd continues to grow, and soon the same men who barricaded the streets are lining our spectators section with similar fencing. We haven't thought this through. It is now 4:30 in the afternoon. We're completely fenced in, and the fence will not come down till after 7. Looks like we're watching the whole thing, I say to Patrick. After successfully securing beds for all three of us, Ted returns just as the festivities are about to begin. At 5 o'clock, a bell sounds, and 2 massive brown and white bulls come trotting down a side street to our left. Cheers explode from the crowd around us. The men in the square begin to wave their hands, hats, and shirts to get the attention of these huge animals. but the beasts show little interest. Then another bell rings, and the real excitement begins. Two more bulls appear, smaller but moving much faster. These two are much more inclined to be enticed by the many attempts to get their attention. Soon, the 30 or so men out in the square are voluntarily placing themselves in the path of danger, and we begin to understand what kind of game is afoot. The idea is to touch the horn of a bull without getting knocked down or gored. Near miss after near miss, the bulls charge and people dance out of the way. Finally, we hear the crowd explode as a young man successfully grabs a horn while dodging another bull's charge. Seeing this, I turn to Patrick and say, "You should go out there. When will you ever have another chance to run with bulls?" "Are you kidding?" he says. "Those things are huge. And if I get gored, you're screwed." "Don't worry," I say with a smile. "I have Ted." Ted looks at me kind of funny. "I'm only here for a few more days," he says, "and if Patty gets hurt, you really are screwed." I continue to work on them, and before long, they are second-guessing their decision to take the safe route. Looking out at the square, Patrick says, "It's true, we'll never have this chance again. You only live once, right?" Turning to Ted, he says, "But we can't both get hurt. Only one of us can go." "Then it should be you," Ted says with a smile. As Patrick begins to climb the fence to enter the plaza, I'm laughing to myself. He has always been one for an adrenaline rush. Whether rock climbing or jumping off cliffs, he has always had a little thrill-seeking in his blood. But honestly, I didn't think he would take the bait. All right, now we go to Patrick. When Justin and I entered 9th grade, I went out for the football team. Our high school didn't yet have a soccer program, so Justin waited for spring to play tennis. At 6 feet 3 inches, I was tall for a freshman, but I weighed only 145 pounds. Not exactly the classic frame for a football player. Still, I enjoyed the game, and even though I wasn't very fast, I had decent hands. That first year, I saw some playing time as wide receiver, but with daily practices and weekly games, I had a lot less time to spend with Justin during the season. Before the start of our sophomore year, I hatched a plan to get more time with my best friend. Since Justin wasn't involved in a fall sport, I told him it only made sense for him to join me on the football field. "Think how much time we'll have together," I said, "and we'll be in excellent shape for the ladies." Though Justin initially rejected my brilliant suggestion, I eventually wore him down after weeks of badgering. He decided to join the team just in time for 2-a-day practices, which commenced a couple of weeks before the start of school. The combination of summer heat and intense physical activity had us both shedding pounds from our already lean frames and eating food by the plateful. Despite Justin's small size and lack of football experience, the coaches put him on the defensive line, while at 6'3" and 155 pounds, I continued playing wide receiver. Though it's difficult to admit, I wasn't very good, but somehow I made the team 2 years in a row. Justin, however, was terrible. In hindsight, I feel kind of bad for talking him into playing, but at the time I was just glad there was someone worse than me on the field. Every practice seemed to start or end with all the players gathered in a multi-layered circle with the coaches in the middle. This massive huddle, with the biggest and meanest players always closest to the center, was a source of deep-seated fear for both Justin and me. Inevitably, the coaches would vacate the middle of the circle and initiate a drill known as Bull in the Ring. When the coach called out a player's name, that player would enter the center of the circle, and when the whistle blew, his job was to lower his shoulders and hit any player who challenged him, which always seemed to be one of the biggest guys. As two of the scrawniest players on the team, Justin and I were both petrified at the possibility of hearing our names and having to step into the ring. Somehow, Justin escaped this fate, but I wasn't so lucky. On more than one occasion, I suffered a beatdown from players who seemed twice my size. To this day, I wonder whether Justin still harbors some mild resentment toward me for convincing him to play football. On the other hand, allowing your best friend to talk you into a situation where you find yourself entirely outmatched makes for great stories and even better life lessons. I take this hope with me as I scale the fence. As I drop to the stone-paved surface of the plaza, a small voice screams in my head, "What in the world are you doing?" But Justin's persuasive words are considerably louder, and I'm actually thinking, I've got this. For the past hour, I've been studying the various techniques of the men in the plaza who have successfully dodged the advancing bulls. As near as I can tell, there are two recipes for success. One is to convince one of these large animals to chase you and then dive out of the way at the last possible moment. The second strategy is to stand in the path of the charging bull, fake a step to one side as the bull approaches to get him to slightly change direction, and then lunge in the opposite direction as the bull goes by. As I stand at the west end of the plaza, with the church to my right and safety on the other side of the fence to my left, a surge of adrenaline begins to work its way through my bloodstream. I can feel the slight tingling sensation and jitteriness grow when two shadows appear on either side of me. I realize I am no longer alone. Glancing to my right, I see Ted. "What are you doing out here?" I shout. He just smiles and says, "Justin told me to do it." I can't argue with that. To my left, I find Mike with a camera. "I'm catching this on film," he says. It's too late to challenge their decision to join me. The moment I look toward the other end of the plaza, I see the two larger bulls running off to the left around a corner, while the two smaller, more aggressive bulls come charging in our direction. A bare-chested man waving his shirt distracts one of the bulls, but the other is lumbering straight toward us. In an instant, Mike bolts the fence with Ted right on his heels, and I'm left standing there alone again. For the briefest moment, I can see Justin looking at me through a gap in the fence, but I can't tell if he's terrified for me or laughing his brains out. With the beast now 10 feet away, I lunge to my right, just like I practiced it in my mind, to convince the bull to change direction. He shifts slightly, but still has me dead center between his 12-inch horns. As I jump back to my left, I see him lower his head, ready for the gore. Panicked now, I begin an incredibly uncoordinated pirouette. But as my head and body rotate to the left, my feet are slow to follow. "Oh no!" I shout as I lower my right hand to chest level in an effort to push myself away from the half-ton of mayhem that is about to collide with my body. For a fraction of a second, my hands land on the bull's horns as its massive shoulder brushes my rib cage. He missed! With limbs moving in all directions, I flail my way back to the fence and scramble up and over like a deranged spider monkey. When my feet touch ground on the safe side of the fence, I hear nothing but laughter. Ted is laughing, Mike is laughing, Robin is laughing, complete strangers are laughing and smacking me on the back. But no one is laughing as loud or as hard as Justin. Dude, your eyes were the size of silver dollars, he shouts. I can't believe he didn't get you. That was awesome. Justin hunches over in his chair as laughter consumes him. Robin steps to my side and says in a thick French accent, "You touched a horn." Does it count if I didn't mean to? Pointing across the square at a couple of young men, he tells me to listen. I can't make out everything they're saying, but I do hear the words, "Americano es estúpido." Are they calling me stupid? I ask Robin. He shakes his head and says, "Not exactly. They're calling you a stupid macho American. Another pilgrim tried the same thing last night and was taken to the hospital because he was gored. You were lucky." I don't know what to make of what just happened. Justin just talked me into doing one of the dumbest things of my life, and I put up little resistance. I can't help but wonder whether, on some level, this is payback for football. I guess we're even. All right, now we go back to Justin. I will never forget the look on Patrick's face when he realized Ted was standing next to him out there among the bulls, or the size of his eyes when he began to move in a way that seemed to defy the laws of physics. I didn't know a person's toes could point in one direction while his head and torso were going the opposite way. But I'm glad he didn't get hurt. And I'm glad he seized the opportunity. Patrick knows this, but I would have given anything to have him been out there in the fray with him. I love my life and am grateful for everything I get to experience. But in times like these, I can't deny there's a sting. I want to be out there running with the bulls, risking my life alongside Patrick for a good story. But in these moments, I have a choice. I can let my limits ruin me, or I can let them go. If I can't catch a bull by its horn, the next best thing is to watch my best friend do it for me. Patrick and I have often found ourselves outmatched by our circumstances, but we've learned that if we live in fear and never try, if we never attempt something scary or daunting, we can't know what limits we possess. If we don't push ourselves, the only limits we face are the ones we place on ourselves, the ones we fabricate in our minds. It may sound simplistic or even ridiculous, but something was triggered in Patrick today. His near miss with the bull was validation that he is capable of far more than he thinks he is. He doesn't know it yet, but change is coming. I can feel it. Alrighty, well that's it for chapter 11. And again, just another good message right there is to don't let fear, control that kind of stuff. It's better to say you tried it and it didn't work rather than be afraid to and not know. Because then it's like you actually can really discover what your strengths are, what abilities you have. And a lot of times you will be surprised. Like, I think, again, with my job, there have been things that I've tried before that I've never done before, and it's nice it feels good, actually. It's like a satisfying feeling, like, yeah, I actually tried it. Even, it might not have worked, but it's better to find out. So I'm really like how there's so many other messages within this book. And again, I think this one's a very highly recommended book to have, because it really can teach you so many things about life. It's not just a story about two friends on a fun journey. It's a journey of they're learning things, and then they're sharing it with the rest of the world. And I do like that, how there's stories like that can inspire. And that's like also something that I'm wanting to try to do too. Like, I may not have like a insane backstory or something. Like, if you watch, like, America's Got Talent or The Voice, a lot of the contestants who audition on those shows usually have a kind of a story about where they had a rough upbringing or something, or they had a tragedy happen in his or her family, and kind of where they found things to help them get through it. I'm not like that. I mean, I had a good upbringing. I had a nice family, and I am blessed. I'm very blessed and lucky I don't want to say lucky, but I'm very blessed with the family that I have. And I've always learned, and I definitely learned, to appreciate what I have, and not to complain about what I don't have. Have there been times where I've done that? Yes. But I've learned through many different experiences. Like, I've volunteered at Feed My Starving Children, Meals on Wheels. There's people who are in more unfortunate circumstances than the one I'm in or the one that you're in. So be thankful for the position that you're in there. And I say, like, for those people who are like, who have had kind of rough pasts, it is good to, like, how they've come forward. It's like they're really taking a step, and they've gotten something positive out of it. And they're taking steps, and that's really something that's important for everybody to do. And again, I feel like my job I've taken a lot of steps, and I think I've definitely become more confident. There's some times where I don't feel it as much, but I'd say I'm definitely a lot better. Because, like, I know, like, I remember in college even, I remember, like, even just growing up, I remember I was, like, so scared. I was so scared, like, when I was in preschool, I was, as you guys, because I had some home videos that I shared for my 25th birthday, and there was some where I was in preschool, and during those, where all of us were singing, like, I was very nervous. Like, I was on the brink of crying. But now, like, I remember in high school, like, just at the end of my senior year, I played in our high school talent show. I got to do that. And then when I was in college at Bethel, I performed twice. I performed 2 years in their annual talent show, Bethel's Got Talent. And the first year I did my rap song, which I have posted on here, which is from, like, over 7 years ago now. And then the next year I performed a COVID parody of Sweet Caroline, which you guys can see on my channel as well. And for that one, I got second place. I got a check for $75. I know it's not a lot, but it's some, and some is better than none. So I was happy with it. But I was glad I actually got the courage to do that. I got up in front of a crowd, and the first time I did it, it was literally right before like quarantine started for COVID. It was like literally like a week before that happened. So the timing there, I was very fortunate. So I'm glad I took those steps and actually gained that confidence. And so I'm proud of like the different steps that I have taken so far, and I'll continue to do it. And then hopefully you guys continue to do it too. And I hope I myself, as well as this book, can inspire that. And inspire all the many other great messages that are in this book too. Well, alrighty, Rappies. Well, thank you so much. And stay tuned next time as we go into chapter 12, Unexpected. And there's actually some pictures, so you actually get to see pictures of Patrick and Justin. So that'll be nice. It'll help you. And there's some pictures from their journey, so you guys will actually get a bit of a glance at that. So, all right. Well, again, thank you, Rappies, very much. Love you all to death. God bless, and I'll see you next time. All right. Bye.